what was the process of you getting here? When did Will first reach out to you?
Well, to be honest with you, obviously Coach Rick retired on that Sunday. That Monday I knew I was not going to be retained. I probably heard from Will maybe Monday night, maybe 2 hours after that process happened. So happened pretty fast.
Did you know right away that you wanted to take the job here?
Absolutely. I mean, it was funny because Coach McClendon and I talked about some stuff a year ago about maybe getting back on the same side at some point. Not sure how it would happen, but obviously it kind of happened this way, and I'm excited about it.
What was the biggest selling point that either BMAC gave you or the real reason like you decided to come here?
I think it's tradition. I've always played against South Carolina when I was in school and knew about the great fan base and how tough these guys were to beat at all times. The running back room, I think we got a really good spot of talented guys coming back, but also just my relationship with BMAC as well.
How would you assess the running back room currently and what you have?
Got a mixed bag of guys from a talent standpoint. I think they've kind of underproduced in the past, in my opinion. I think probably everybody's opinion, but we got a core group of guys who are some experience, some young guys coming into the mix. So I'm excited about it.
How do you change that?
How do you change what?
The underproduction.
Competition solves most of your problems. So be on them every single day, hold them to a standard, and put the best guys on the field.
Have you had a chance to meet the guys yet, the running backs?
I have, yeah.
And with A.J. Turner specifically, do you think he'll be staying on the defensive side of the ball?
I can't answer that question. That'd be a Coach Mustang question.
Do you typically prefer to have a lead running back or by committee?
I've normally always played 2 guys for the most part, but I'll play as many guys as necessary to win.
What's been the reaction on the recruiting trail? Have you gotten to talk to any guys yet, and kind of what's been there?
So my first day on the recruiting trail, I was in town, kind of locally with Coach Muschamp. Kind of Monday be my first day, kind of getting out. I'm gonna start locally first in South Carolina. I'm gonna head to East Georgia, to Atlanta, then back down to South Florida. So it can be good.
What has he told you about what he wants as far as this late signing period with a running back?
Say it again?
What has he told you about what he wants in this late signing period?
Well, we got a couple spots left. I think some of those guys have kind of already been designated as far as where those numbers will go. Just trying to find the best available guys to help us win.
Do you hope to sign a running back in this class?
Say it again?
Do you hope to sign a running back in this class?
If there's one available, that can help us. Well, obviously got Kevin Harris that came in already. I'm excited about him. Watched his tape and met him. He's a great looking young man, so I'm excited about working with him.
Will Georgia and South Florida be kind of your recruiting territories long term?
Yeah, so I have myself and T-Rob handle South Florida. I'll have the Cobb County in Georgia, kind of know Fulton. I'll have some East Georgia and also in-state area as well.
Thomas, I know it's early, but how much will you and BMAC talk about designing the offense for next year or tweaking it for next year?
I think it's too early for that. I think we'll obviously sit down and get with the rest of the offensive staff and get with those guys, get some input, and see how things go.
You touched on it already, but what's your relationship with BMAC and kind of how big was he in this process?
He was huge. I mean, obviously I played with BMAC at Georgia. He was an older guy, 2 years older than me, and I looked up to him a bunch when I was a player. That's how he kind of handled himself on and off the field, his work ethic, and kind of same way from a coaching standpoint.
You mentioned that the running backs may have underperformed. What do you think is the biggest area where the running backs in the roster need to improve?
Well, I think, from personal experience, playing with probably, 3 or 4 other NFL caliber tailbacks when I was in school, competition makes you better every single day. And understand there's guys in the room that are just as good as you are, can take your spot at any given moment. But also trying to maximize the opportunity you're given.
A lot of wide open offenses these days, but how important is the running game in the SEC?
I think it's huge. That's what the SEC is about. Like I said before, I'm well versed in this conference. I've been playing it, having coached in it before, and I got to have a balanced run attack and to be able to serve everything else.
What did you learn and kind of take from the experience of having 3 years as a coordinator?
It was great for me. I mean, obviously I didn't have a chance to call plays, so I was kind of the drawback of my position. But having a chance to organize an offense, run offensive meetings, deal with more guys in my own position group was huge for me.
What's your assessment of the offensive line and what Coach Wolf has done in the time that he's been?
It's my first time working with Coach Wolf, but I've heard about him from everybody, from former players that have played with him to guys that have coached with him about how great he is as a teacher. I think we're in a good spot from an O-line standpoint.
Have you talked to Coach Bentley at all about the transition as he looks at the position you step into it?
Not in great detail. Not about that specifically.
You mentioned like having 2 running backs. How do you like to handle them during the game?
I think it depends on how the game is going. Again, everything is going to be earned by every guy that's going to be on the football field for us, and that's kind of what I've done for the most part everywhere I've coached. When I play, we kind of rotated 4 or 5 guys at a time. I was not a big fan of that. I think nobody in the room was a big fan of that, and I think everybody wants to play, but you got to earn the right to play. I think it depends on what those guys bring to the table.
So you'll ride the hot hand?
It depends on how the game goes, yeah.
How would you describe your style as a recruiter? What's sort of your...
Well, I think when it comes to recruiting, it's all about relationships and fits. And I'm a